One of the most common and also one of the most boring tasks that you'll do in Microsoft Excel is entering sequences of values. For example, you might need to enter a series of order numbers or a series of dates. They could be in sequence, they could be copies. Regardless, you need to get the data in. It takes time if you don't know the proper shortcuts, but I'll show you those in this movie. I'm going to work in the Fill Series workbook, which you can find in the Chapter 1 folder of your exercise files archive. So here I have data that I'm going to use to build series. I have just a basic sequence of numbers, currently represented by the number 1, some sales projections, and also dates. If you want to extend a series of numbers, you can do so by grabbing the fill handle, which is at the bottom right corner of the active cell, or the active cell range if more than one cell is selected. So for example, at the bottom right corner of cell A2, you can see the fill handle next to the number 1. When I position the mouse pointer over the fill handle, the mouse pointer changes into a black cross, and then if I hold down the left mouse button and drag, then Excel extends the series. And in this case, it repeats the value, the number 1. So if I were to drag down to cover cell A5 and release the left mouse button, then I get the number 1 in each of those cells. And I'll press Ctrl-Z to undo that action. Now I'll show you what happens when you hold down the Control key when you drag the fill handle. It changes the default behavior. So before, because I only had a single number, dragging the fill handle repeated the number. If I move the mouse pointer over the fill handle, so now it's a black cross, and hold down the Control key, and you can see that the black cross changed, so there's a little black cross to the top right of it, almost like an exponent. Now if I left click and drag down, you see that the data series extends. 2, 3, 4, and so on. So if you want to repeat a value, you can left click and drag, and again this is for a single number, and if you want to change this behavior to extend the series, then hold down the Control key and drag. You should experiment to see how the fill handle operates and also how holding down the Control key changes it for different selections of data. You will also notice that after you're done dragging the fill handle, the Autofill Options button appears, and if you click it, you get a list of options that you can apply to the series that you just created. The option that you just implemented, in this case Fill Series, is highlighted, but you can also select Copy Cells, Fill Formatting Only, Fill Without Formatting, and Flash Fill, which is new in Excel 2013. You can also use the fill handle to extend a data series doing linear projection for forecasting. So for example, let's say that you have a series of data that give you annual sales for your company, and those are in cells C2 through C5. So previous sales were 150,000, 250, 450, and 675,000. If the trend continues, what would next year's sales be? Well, you can find that out by selecting all the cells in the data series, then dragging the fill handle, again, moving the mouse pointer so it's a black cross, and dragging down, and you'll see that if the trend holds, in other words, the growth pattern continues, then the next year's sales will be 825. Drag it again. For the next year, it's 1,000,000, 2,500, and so on. So you can see that is an easy way to do a little bit of forecasting by dragging the fill handle. One last thing I'll show you is how to extend date series. So in cell E2, I have August 2nd, 2013. If I grab the fill handle and drag down, you'll see that it goes up by a day each time I move down a cell. August 3rd, August 4th, August 5th, and so on. The Autofill Options button also appears, and when I click it for a date, then I get a lot of different options. I have the other options I had before, Copy Cells, Fill Series, Fill Formatting, and so on, but I can also fill days, fill weekdays, fill months, and fill years. So for example, if I click Fill Years, then I get the same date, August 2nd, for 2013, 14, 15, and 2016. So you can see the fill handle is an extremely versatile tool. If you learn how to work with it well, you'll save yourself a lot of time.